Hey guys, welcome back to another video. So today we are going to be doing an updated Kitchenaid review. The Kitchenaid review that I did, I think it was maybe like 4 or 5 years ago. I'll put it up here and I'll put a link if you haven't already watched it. But that is a bit more of an in-depth. I've got, I think, an unboxing and then a review as well. And I basically just wanted to do an updated one because I know when I buy things, and I've had people ask me how good it is now and whether I still use it. Same goes for any like big purchase, like on some of my car tour videos I get a lot of people coming and saying, do you still have it, do you still like it? And I feel like when you're spending this much money, people want to know whether it's still good later on. And there are a few things that irritate me about it, but then there are a lot of things that I do still like about it, so I just thought I would do a bit of an updated one. I've given her a good clean because we'll get to it, but that's another thing that annoys me about it. But I'll give you a little overview, a little close-up of all of the things that you get with it. There's a few bits that I bought as extra or I had bought for me, and then we'll actually get into my updated review. So that is everything that you get, or I have. The two extra bits that I bought are this paddle beater, I think it's called, and then I also got this cover. So the cover goes on the top here like so, and it's a pouring cover, so it allows you to pour. However, the slight sort of error with it is it isn't completely tight to the Kitchenaid. So if I move this down, there is a big gap in here, which I will put a little photo on the screen so that you can actually see it a bit closer. But unless you're pouring, I don't know, eggs, milk in there, it doesn't work for any powders, which is kind of what I wanted it for. Yes, it is a pouring cover, so maybe they didn't intend for it to be that, but that is just something that I noticed about it. And then, like I say, I got the paddle beater. These were both around 20 to 25 pounds, and they are obviously extras. And then these three, which is the standard beater, the bread hook, and then the whisk, they come actually with it as a set. I will double check what colour this is because I got asked a load of times on my other video, but I think it was mentioned in the actual review or in the unboxing. But I think it was like taupe or yeah, I think it was maybe taupe, but it's kind of like a grey colour, it's not white. So yeah, that's the colour I got. And yeah, like I say, these are all included. However, I don't use any of the ones that are included. I haven't done, they literally have been in a drawer for the longest time. Do not use them. So a few things to mention. Again, in my review video I did try all these out so then you can see them a bit better. But the whisk and the beater, I find you have to have a full bowl in order for them to work efficiently. So they don't touch the sides of the bowl. So like I say, depending on what you're trying to do, sometimes they don't really work. And I find that especially if you're mixing cake mix, you need to make sure everything is in there, not just what's in the middle of the bowl. These are good for if you're whisking like egg whites, but again, I don't really do that too often, so I don't use it. But my go-to is this. Absolutely love it. It is so good, and you can scrape the sides with the little silicone edge. The only thing I would say about this I've used a bunch of times before I got gifted this for my birthday, and as you can see, there's no chips on it whatsoever. This is the official Kitchenaid one. This is meant to be official Kitchenaid, but I got it off Amazon, and it may not be. And what I have noticed, as you can see around the edge, is it's starting to chip. I haven't noticed it on cakes or in buttercream because it would be pretty obvious because it's like white. But I do notice that it comes off when you wash it, which I think is because if you're using like a scourer which has a hard edge, then it just scrapes it off, whereas obviously when it's actually mixing cake mix, that mix is soft, so it's not going to actually scrape off the paint like that. But you have to be really careful when you're washing it because it does just easily scrape off, which is not ideal. But I probably do need to get another one because I haven't had any new items since I actually got the machine. And then what I mentioned about this pouring cover, it has a big gap around it, so it's kind of useless. I bought it as an incentive to stop icing sugar. Although it has this big gaping hole here, I thought that having this cover might help, and it does slightly, but not really enough to make a difference. So what I do now is I put a kitchen towel. Is it kitchen towel? Yeah, I think it is. Kitchen towel. You know what you like dry your stuff with. I put that over the top, and then I put one around the base here, and then I find that that just stops any icing sugar from getting on the sides, because that is the bane of my life. I used to use Tate and Lyle, but then they have changed their recipe, so even that gets icing clouds everywhere. So I just haven't been able to find an icing sugar that doesn't give icing clouds. So if anyone has any recommendations, please let me know, because I'm always open to them. So that is all the attachments. Then I also wanted to show you the noise of each setting. So one thing I did notice, the first, say, 2 years, it was working perfectly. To be honest, it was being used every day. So I'm not surprised that it is now making a funny noise occasionally, because it's had a lot of wear. I don't know what the life expectancy is of these things. I know people that have them and they last years and years and years, but they're probably using it maybe like once a month. Whereas when you're a baker and you're using it as much as we are, I think it gets a lot more wear and tear, especially like with the cleaning side, which I will mention in a minute. But I have noticed that sometimes it does make a bit of a like a low but high pitched noise. It's kind of hard to explain, but yeah, I'll show you the different settings. Little headphone warning for anyone, because it's going to be very loud. That is number 1, number 2, number 3, or number 4. It skipped one. Number 8. I don't know if you can hear that. That's part of the weird noise. So, as you would have heard, it does make a little bit of a ringing noise. Usually it does it after I've been mixing for a while. So say like if I put buttercream on to mix and I leave it for like 5 minutes so that it gets really fluffy, then it will start to make the noise a little bit later on. So I think it's obviously got a motor in it, and that has been used for years. So I think it's just a lot of use, to be honest. But like I say, it's what, I think it was about £450, but if I've had it for 5 years, that isn't too bad, I don't think, considering the amount of use that it gets. But yeah, so that's the weird noise that it makes. And then a few things about cleaning which might be helpful for people. So I obviously wipe it down after every use, because it gets dirty so easily, and then I give it a scrub with a toothbrush at the end of the day if I've been baking that day. Obviously I now don't really bake every day, so I just clean it whenever I need to. And then what I do maybe like once a month is unscrew it, just to get in like all the crevices. So you can unscrew a few bits on here. The base pad, you won't actually be able to see it, but the little base pad down here where my hand is, this unscrews, so I take that out, and then you can unscrew this section at the top, clean all in there. So inside here, considering it's covered, as you can see, it gets surprisingly dirty. So you just take this off once you've unscrewed it, and then clean all in here because dirt seems to sit in there. And then just screw that back up. That's for your attachments, so you can put pasta maker, you can put mince maker, I think you can put a blender on there. I don't have any of the attachments, but I would quite like to get some, just because then I can get full use of the machine. But this bit at the bottom, which I will do a close-up and put it over this so that you can see what I'm on about, but around the edges here, the paint has started to chip. So around the edge, because you have this raised edge and then you've got like a seam where the metal joins the other bit of metal, the dirt, like icing sugar or whatever you're mixing, the dust basically congregates all around the edge there, and then when you scrape it off, it scrapes the paint off. And it didn't used to. I think it's just, the machine is old. I have had it for a long time, and now when I clean it, the paint is coming off a bit easier than it used to, which is a bit sad, but I think I'm just gonna keep it anyway, because the paint chipping isn't necessarily, it doesn't affect the way that it runs. It just doesn't look as nice as it used to. So I'm just trying to be a bit careful with it when cleaning, try not to use any scourers on it, try and use cloths, and then where I need to use things that are a bit harsher. So all around these lines at the top, all of the dust from your icing sugar and just any flour, cocoa powder, anything that's powdered, all gets in these lines. So it's actually kind of annoying the way that it is made, because it's got so many like seams on it. I've seen so many other machines where they're like seamless, and that's probably because they're really hard to clean. So you do have to, I have a little screwdriver, which, if I get it all over the floor, which my parents gave me, and I thought it would be useless, but I actually use it to dismantle my Kitchenaid whenever I need to. So it's got this tiny little attachment on it, which I use to clean. So you can just go through the seams down here with a screwdriver or a toothpick, but that is the best way to get in there and clean it. But otherwise it just ends up looking really messy because it's got all these seams in it and it's so difficult to clean. But I've also scratched some of the metal because of that, which again is frustrating, but I don't know how else you're meant to clean it. So that's one of the cons, is the ease of cleaning. And some of these sections in the center here where the machine joins, you can't get anything in there. I've tried toothbrushes, I've tried little like cotton buds, and it's so difficult to get in there. But that's the only downside, I think, is the sound that it makes after long periods of mixing. Sometimes, like you saw there, it wasn't even a long period of mixing, it was just me turning it on and straight away it was making a bit of a funny noise. But that sometimes happens after I've cleaned it, because I've been brushing and it's probably got dust where it's not meant to have dust because I've been cleaning it. And then also the chipping of the paint. But as I said, that might be because it is 5 or so years old. But apart from that, I do absolutely love this machine, and I do think it is a very reliable machine considering the amount of cakes that I have made with this machine. It is like bulletproof pretty much. The actual way it works isn't affected, it's just the cleaning and the noise, but that doesn't affect how you make cakes, which is what it's built to do. So I do think it's lasted a lot longer now that I do less cakes with it. I never do any brownies or anything with it, so I just use it for cakes and cookie pies. So cookie pies is a dough, so that's a bit more strain on the actual mixing. So I think that might be what sometimes makes the noise, because it takes more power for it to move dough around than it does to move cake mix. I do love it, and I do think it was worth the 400 odd pounds. I don't actually know how much they are now, but when I got it, I did think it was worth it. I got it on, I think I paid in like 3 installments for it, because I got it from Argos, and yeah, wasn't too bad. And the bowl, it scratches a little bit, but it's not too bad. So I don't know if you can see, there's a few like big scratches. You can see one there, just where the paddle scratches against the sides, and yeah, there's actually quite a few, but you can't really see them on camera. But I think with any metal bowl, that's standard. You can get a glass bowl, which I did consider. It's not standard with any of the machines, but you can get it as an add-on. I think it's maybe like £100 or so, but the only issue with that is there's been a lot of reviews of it breaking. Sometimes when mixing, obviously when washing. So yeah, that's why I didn't get a glass bowl, because I was just worried about it breaking. Although it does look very nice to be able to see the mix around the side of the bowl, see whether it's all mixed perfectly. And yeah, glass I don't think scratches as much, or I would assume that it wouldn't, whereas the metal definitely does, especially from mascaras and stuff. When you're washing it, it scratches, depends what you're making in there. Buttercream is fine, it's more like the doughs and stuff which might stick to the side, but I don't think it's too bad. So that's pretty much everything I wanted to cover, I think. I just wanted to give you a little bit of an update on it. I did have another machine which I got rid of in the end because I never used it, but there's a few things like the dials which I preferred rather than these little notches, because they do have holes which you can then get a lot of dirt in, which is then hard to clean. They had a dial which was much easier to clean, but I don't think Kitchenaid would ever move to that. I haven't looked at their new machines as to whether they have changed anything about them or whether they look exactly the same, but I think that would definitely be a better move. Less sort of seams where you can get dirt in, and less of these screws that are on show. You could put covers on those, and then also potentially having a dial rather than these little notches, because I also worry about like if you break that, not that I think I would, but if you break it then your machine is pretty useless, whereas if you had a dial it's very unlikely that that would break off. So yeah, those are the extras that I have. Those are my thoughts on the Kitchenaid. I hope you enjoyed. If you have any questions, let me know, and if you want to see the unboxing and the full review video, then I'll put them up the top, and then you can go and watch those, because they're a lot more detailed than this. But I just wanted to do a little updated one, 5 years or so on, just to let you know whether I still think it was worth it. And like I say, I do. I think this is a machine that I'll probably keep for pretty much ever. I don't foresee it breaking anytime soon, and I can buy attachments for it which would sort of keep it going a bit longer. And you can always buy new bowls, stuff like that, because they are interchangeable. Same with all the paddles. Like this one, I need to buy a new one, but that's something that I can buy without having to buy a whole new machine, which is nice, because it all just comes separately. Whereas I think there are some machines where they do come as a set, so if you need to buy something, I don't quite know how you get it without buying a non-official version, because they're not sort of sold separately. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed, and I will see you soon for another cake video probably. I have a couple of cakes that I'm decorating, little baby ones. I'm doing a lot of these like bento cakes at the moment, so there'll probably be a video doing those. And then also next month is my birthday, and because I'm not on prep this year like I was last year, we are going to be making a big birthday cake. So I'm going to be doing a birthday live, and I'll be decorating a 2-tier cake. I just need to decide what it's going to look like. So yeah, that is what's coming up over the next few weeks / month ish. So yeah, exciting. But yeah, I will see you in my next video.